So here's how I went from 6 Blue Dream shrimp to over 1,000. I have taken some out over the past few months, so don't think they're all in here, but let me tell you how it happened. A long time ago, I had this small 10-gallon fish tank, and I bought 8 Blue Dream shrimp from Amazon, but only 6 arrived. So I put them in this tank, and after a few months, I counted 10 shrimp. And not long after that, I counted 20. I knew that some of the bigger fish were eating some of the baby shrimp, so I caught a few and moved them into their all-new shrimp-only tank, and they had so much space that sometimes they were hard to find. So as the plants started to grow and fill in the tank, so did the shrimp population. It was common to spot a shrimp carrying a ton of eggs around the tank, and there was also little tiny shrimp babies starting to come out into the open. And 1 year later, the tank is now swarmed by shrimp, and it's really cool to see because they are everywhere and there's shrimp of all sizes at all times. And since there's no fish or anything that can eat them in here, they are comfortable being out in the open at all times. Alright, so if you want to achieve this type of population growth, I'll go over a few things that I think can really help out the shrimp. First, let's talk about filters. I started this tank with a small little sponge filter, and once the population grew, I added a couple hang-on back filters, and I plugged the intake with filter media on one, and on the other, I used a pre-filter sponge. And the reason for this is to protect your baby shrimp that would very likely get swept up into the filter, and that would plateau your population growth. So by protecting the baby shrimp from getting sucked into the filter, you can ensure that your population will keep on growing. I think it helps if you have a lot of hiding places in your tank. I know a lot of people have wide open tanks with lots of open space because they like to see their fish. But for me, I use this huge rock with a bunch of caves to hide in. So at first, I couldn't see half my shrimp, but I think they feel a lot more safe if they have good hiding places, and I think that does help the population grow. So once you start seeing more shrimp in your tank, you're going to want to help your fish tank stay balanced, because even though your shrimp will keep the place clean, they're still producing waste, and you don't want that to become an issue. One thing that really helps is to add a lot of plants into your tank, and that will help keep the water more clean and balanced, as well as make your tank look nicer, and it actually gives the shrimp a few more places to hang out at, so it's a win-win. Now, if your shrimp population is really getting out of control, it might help you to bump up your filtration. I actually added 2 hang-on back filters and then put some plants inside of those to make them look nicer and also keep the water parameters in good shape. Another reason I put plants in here is because I get a lot of sunlight from this window behind the fish tank. So I was hoping some of these plants can catch that sunlight before it reaches the fish tank. And I think it looks nicer. So one of my favorite things about shrimp-only aquariums is that if you go out of town for a few days, the shrimp are not going to care. They have so much food in the form of algae in the tank that they can go off for days just eating this stuff. In fact, that's what they do all day. Alright, so water temperature is always important. I keep mine around 72 to 74 degrees. But I found that if it dips down into the high 60s for a couple weeks, if you're treating algae, shrimp population will still keep growing. So as long as you're in the low to mid 70s, I think everything will be okay. So if you're looking to start your own shrimp colony, I would start out with at least 6 to 10 shrimp, and this way there's a better chance for survival and also for there to be a better male to female mix. And I think they also like to be in bigger groups whenever they come out to eat in open spaces of the tank, which I think makes them feel safer. One of my favorite things about shrimp is that they interact with your fish tank in a very different way than fish do. In search of food, shrimp will explore every detail of your tank and they will climb every plant, every rock, and cave. So they can just hang out anywhere and make the tank look a lot nicer in the process. So one of the reasons shrimp reproduce so well is because they are eating machines, meaning that all day they'll just graze on algae, kind of like cows do with grass. So they'll just go around the tank all day doing this, and they're usually never going hungry, which allows them to have a lot of babies. So again, to achieve population growth like this, the most important things are keeping your water quality high, not keeping other fish in the tank that can eat the shrimp, and using the right filtration methods. If you do all those things, after a few months, you'll have a bunch of shrimp in your tank.